All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. It's time to talk about the Wolf Sledge. As of the recording and posting, hopefully, of this video, there's about 10 days or so, let's say, left to get the Wolf Sledge really easily. This weapon has been like 200 plus platinum in the past, and right now is on a series of alerts that are very easily accessible for you to get the full set. In addition to that, it is an MR7 weapon, making it really easy to acquire. And it's worth talking about because it is also a unique weapon. This weapon is a hammer, so it has all the usual hammer stuff, being able to use Crushing Ruin, the regular hammer heavy attacks, and just like, the decent damage that comes with being a hammer, in addition to being able to hold E to throw it like a glaive and blow it up with the glaive-style heavy attacks as well whenever it is mid-air. So, unique weapon, hammer. Where's the Mjolnir part of the title of this video come in? Ah, yes, that's the influence part of this. This weapon is primed and ready, well, not primed yet, to be an influence weapon because it has a very, very good base 33% status. It's actually 35 on its throws, meaning that we have a really wonderful amount of status to start with. And in addition to that, we also have a status to start with, which is blast on the radial attack of its throws. This is stellar because the best thing Blast can be is free. This is just free AoE that you're going to get on top of this. It is an elemental, so it is going to be spread through influence whenever you trigger it, meaning that because Blast itself is an AoE, you will hit an enemy, it will proc Blast, and then that Blast will be put on every other enemy in a very large radius with melee influence, and then all of those enemies that are near each other will be hit by all of the different Blast procs. Meaning that whenever you have good grouping abilities like Korra's 2, Larva, even Vauban's 4, this does a lot of pretty high scaling damage. So scaling into groups is something this weapon is very, very good at because of the free blast that it does get. Also, your throws have pretty good base damage as well. And we're actually going to want to use normal throws on this weapon. For that, we'll need a little bit of attack speed, but thankfully we'll only need a little bit. We are somewhat uniquely, as I think this mod is a little on the underused side, using Gladiator Vice, as we only really need that 30% attack speed. I haven't really found that I need more than this, but what that does mean is that we're getting an extra 10% melee critical chance per combo multiplier, which is really nice because the thing that this weapon is kind of low on is crit chance. We're only at, I think, a 19% base crit chance if we look real quick. 17 actually on the main. I think it's 19. Yeah, 19 on the throws. So we kind of want more crit chance. So that extra per combo multiplier is a 25% increase over what Blood Rush will normally be giving us, and that's quite good. Because this weapon is MR7, I do want to talk about budget considerations for this. I don't think that the Gladiator mods are particularly difficult to get to, but this could be any other attack speed mod you have. Even just Fury is literally the same stats as this, I believe, for regular Fury. Yeah, it's same stats, just doesn't have the other extra bonus. Easy to get, easy to use. Voltaic Strike, another one that I know, not easy to get, only comes from Borrow. Great news, Gladiator Might does exist, and you can just toss that in instead of Voltaic Strike. It'll also give you some more crit chance and bolster that up, though you will lose a bit of status, and of course you're going to lose some of the electric modifier that you'd normally get. Also, these Galvanized mods. Yeah, the Galvanized mods kind of later on in, so you probably don't have these. Great news, if you do have Voltaic Strike, or even if you don't, we're going to talk about another replacement. Galvanized Steel, just replace with Gladiator Might. This mod and this mod basically do the same thing, but Gladiator Might just has lower numbers, and that's just fine. Especially if you're on regular path or a newer player, it's going to perform great for you. So you can just replace Galvanized Steel straight up with that. It's also much cheaper in the Endo department. And if you're missing both of these mods, you could also just toss in Gladiator Rush. The combo duration is not going to be a negative thing for you. It'll add another good amount of critical chance for the weapon. And additionally, if you're earlier on in, you probably don't have Naramon, so you might want to opt for this instead in general, because the combo duration is going to be helpful for keeping your combo up. Then, of course, Galvanized Elementalist, regular Elementalist. Regular Elementalist is pretty early available, and if you just leave it out of the build entirely, if you're on regular path, that's not really going to be a problem at all. Making this build way cheaper. You can see we're on like a full 4 forma here. In terms of other things that are harder to get, Blood Rush and Shocking Touch, yeah, you need those. Weeping Wounds, yeah, kind of absolutely required, so you will need to farm those once you get access to them. Discipline's Merit can be totally foregone, but is really nice for the free heavies that you can get, especially if you're going to be slamming Acolytes on Steel Path with them. And then, of course, regular Pressure Point is just fine, too, if you really want to tone this build all the way down. For that, though, this is, of course, the build that we're going to be showing. You do need Influence to make it do the Influence stuff. On regular path, of course, that's not necessary. Enemy counts are not even usually high enough to warrant it. But, of course, it is farmable from regular path whenever you get to the labs. With all that being said, let's show off what this thing does. So, first and foremost, of course, it is a regular hammer, so we're going to show it do regular hammer stuff. Notably, its regular hammer usage, just spinning like this with Crushing Ruin, is probably the best way to get its combo built up, and what I would definitely suggest for that function. As you can see, we're building up reasonably fast and killing these enemies at like an alright pace. These are Steel Path level 230 enemies, so that is, needs to be taken into account with how fast this build is building up. And honestly, it's kind of impressive that it kills all of them before we get to 12x combo for a weapon that is, well, at least currently readily available. Of course, you'll do that much faster as we get higher on into the different 12x and everything like that. You can see the clear goes way up whenever we get all of our Weeping Wound stats and all of our additional combo multipliers and all the stuff that we're building up as that combo gets higher. Of course, once you're at high combo, and of course you can build this up with the throw as well, just regular throws kind of put in work. I've been able to use just the throw version of this build to get upwards of 130 kpm in my Kuva Fortress tests, just using this, which is really impressive. The blast helps this thing a ton, especially in the tighter hallways of something like the Kuva Fortress. But even if you're not fighting enemies like this, if you're fighting enemies like, let's say, the Murmur, if you're going to be bringing this to an EDA, this is really pretty damn good. I've been very impressed with just what this is able to output. The Murmur don't like it. Of course, they are weak to electricity, so of course they're weak to influence builds in general. But really, whatever you decide to bring this to, if there's a reasonable group and it's not too insanely high level, this thing can really hold its own, and it's worth keeping in your arsenal. It had been a while since I had touched this thing. Of course, this enemy has attenuation, so they die at the rate that they die at, and whatever. But it's really impressed me with just how good this thing is. It actually has a real compelling reason to be used. And if I get this in EDA or ETA as of this build, I'll be perfectly happy with it. Honestly, this thing could really carry, I think, an entire run with what it is able to do. But yeah, that's the Wolf Sledge. I did want to note that there are some additional things that you can do with influence that it'd be just kind of fun to talk about here. Those being that if you are on a Warframe that has an element that you can apply to it, which is Lavos, Volt, Ember, or Frost, who I just recently put up a build video about, you can add that to what you are getting out of influence. So if I just put Freeze Force on here real quick, I'll also be freezing these enemies. And of course we get the crit bonuses from whenever we're adding that and all that such too. But it's also just straight up more damage, which is pretty nice. Of course, that means that you can do heat and get a bunch of heat procs on top of this if you're using Ember. As Lavos, you can get pretty much whatever you want, and apparently his elemental modifiers have been fixed as of the latest patch, so that's notable too. And of course, if you're using this with Volt, you're going to get significantly better influence electricity damage, which is all very, very nice. Of course, there's always more buffs to do, so in addition to Freeze Force on someone like my Frost build, you can also put Zaku's ability to work here, and it will add a good bit of damage too, as you can see. And there's a lot you can do. That's all without even using the additional stuff Frost has, which is to strip armor and all that. But it's a nice, fun little weapon. Is it, the best melee in the game? No, it's not. It's just not. There's a bunch of Incarnants that are better than this. But what Incarnants are you realistically getting at MR7? You're not even halfway through the grind to the regular Incarnants at that point. So with this thing being so readily available on the alerts now, definitely worthwhile to pick up, especially if you just like hammers. Hey everybody, it's time to thank the patrons that are hanging around and supporting the channel. So, to start with that, the $10 patrons are Athean, Alex Farnham, Arbiter Daydream, Barkus, Benuven, Plotomatic, Brutus Salazar, Candelathra, Blob World, Dylan Dworsky, Athrain, James Hearththorne, JC4 Science, Josh, Luzanth, Vicotel, Michta, Nerve, Ruby, Sanyu, Sharp247, The Coupon of Death, Waifu Wars, Wodad01, and Zeraphir. Also, thanks, of course, to all of the other patrons for supporting the channel. It is much appreciated. It's a little sneak peek on what we're getting into. There's going to be a lot more of these kind of big re-reviews of weapon types and their new builds and stuff, as things changed a lot at the end of last year. And of course, there's also planned new free-to-play before we get into any more big updates. So look forward to that.